Nothing? Okay.
I'm still typing, Holly. I have too much to say.
Delayed reaction for Holly.
I'm still typing.
Let me know when a minute's up, Linda.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't time. Alan, did you pin the timer?
I'm using this.
Okay, so I'm going to spotlight you.
Okay, our next speaker is Alan Mann, but I have no idea what his title is, or I didn't get it.
I sent it in the chat, Joy.
Sorry?
I sent it in the chat.
Yep. Let me see. Okay. If your name was on here, it would have been easier to spot. Just says speaker 2. All right. Alan is doing his presentation mastery for the second time, and his title is Sayings You Can Live By. Sayings You Can Live By, Alan Mann.
There are thousands and thousands of books with quotes and words of wisdom. But if you were condense all those books were just general sayings that generally you can live by, it would be a lot smaller book. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, yes, the general words and sayings that you can live by is a lot smaller than all those, words of wisdom, quotes on leadership. And reflecting back, a lot of what I learned on those sayings started when I was a kid. My dad, when he realized I was doing something wrong, would say, Alan, those who have not learned their history are doomed to repeat it. When I first heard that, I thought, well, did I fall asleep in history class? What he was saying is, Alan, you're making the same mistake over and over again. Whether it was math or spelling, punctuation, just stupid things I was doing. And if you think about it, if you do not know and realize the things you do and learn from your mistakes, you are doomed to repeat that. As an adult, I have made some mistakes, and sometimes I have learned from them, and sometimes I have not. And those mistakes that I did not learn from, guess what? I repeated them. Now, the quote itself comes from George Santa Anna, but he was talking about history, but it's a more apropos to your day-to-day life. But I also learned something else from my dad, another saying, and he didn't say this, but I learned it. Happy wife, happy life. This is a little generic. My dad's second marriage was a little stormy. And I learned a lot about marriage, what to do and what not to do by just observing. I would usually stay out of things, but I still got myself in trouble. And as a husband, I tried to keep Linda happy. And a lot of times, if she tells me to, advises me to do something, I act her advice. For example, when it comes to color, I defer to Linda. But this quote, happy wife, happy life, works beyond marriage and relationship with a significant other. I am a buyer. I have suppliers. And reality is any business relationship, whether it be purchasing, supplier, or business, even a lawyer's, it is to some extent a marriage. And yeah, you could take the adversarial position and it's going to be stormy. But if you look at a business relationship as a marriage, you want your partner to be happy. And that means sometimes just saying, yes, sir, or not yes, dear, because that's what you say to your wife, but yes, sir, or yes, Jim, you're right. Even though they may not be right, it's all part of negotiation. We negotiate every day. And just what you negotiate is a whole nother story. Everything we negotiate with our wife, people at the checkout stand sometimes. Every action we do is a negotiation. Happy wife, happy life. Sometimes it's better just to say, yes, dear. My third and final saying that I'm going to share tonight actually did not come from my dad, but it came from a movie. No, it did not come from my favorite movie, Casablanca. The movie it comes from, well, let me give you the quote first and see if you know this. A man has to know his limitations. For any Clint Eastwood fan, it comes from the movie The Enforcer. No, I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with Dirty Harry. What it means is you got to say when to say no. Because if you don't, you're going to get in trouble. My wife, she's so generous, she doesn't say no. And at one point, she was VP of PR for 6 clubs. In Toastmasters, they tell us to say yes and figure out how to do it later. The words of Don Inch and other Toastmasters. But that can get you into trouble. It could get you in trouble. And all of a sudden, you could find yourself member of 9, or in the case of one Toastmaster here, 13 clubs. You could find yourself doing a speech every day of the week because, okay, I'm going to do a speech tomorrow. And before you know it, without thinking everything out, you could have a speech lined up for every day of the week. That's mind-boggling. And you could be going, okay, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. Am I supposed to be in New York or am I supposed to be in New Mexico? It gets very confusing. You get your trouble by saying yes. Yes, I want people to be members of this club. But every time you say yes to anything in life, you can overcommit yourself and you can go crazy. And if you can see, I am going a little crazy because I'm losing some of my hair. So you have to say when to say no. And sometimes, even to your boss, they dump something on you. If you're overwhelmed, you have to say, I can't do that right now. I will do that later, but I can't do it right now. You need to say no when to say no. So remember, don't be like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And remember, if you don't learn from history, you're going to repeat it. Happy wife, happy life, which applies to both your spouse and business relationships. And no, a man needs to know his limitation. Otherwise, he's going to go crazy. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alan. Now may we have 1 minute to